Hi, and thanks for joining us for the Strategic Pause. Do you ever feel like life is moving at 90 miles an hour? Do you feel like you barely have time to breathe, let alone think? Or like you don't know where your time has gone? If you've ever felt any of these things, you are certainly not alone. Triggers for stress are surrounding us, and workplace stress is a big source. 80% of organizations report that they believe their employees are overwhelmed with activity and information. Diving a little deeper into these statistics, we find that 86% of employees agree that taking breaks would actually make them more productive. 20% of employees worry that their bosses won't think they're hardworking if they take regular lunch breaks. And 22% of bosses also have that perception. 13% of people worry that their coworkers will judge them. And 38% of employees don't feel encouraged to take lunch breaks. Here we see that perceptions and mind frames are damaging to our health at work. Do you allow yourself the freedom to take needed breaks throughout the day to fuel yourself, both physically and mentally? The problem is we're too busy to become less busy. The word busy has almost become a badge of pride and a sense of importance for so many people. We feel that we're adding value in the world when we are keeping busy and filling our days up with meetings, tasks, and events to attend. A key concept to understand here is that busy and productive are very different. In reality, this busyness is taking a toll on our bodies, our minds, and our ability to be creative and enjoy life. We develop chronic negative attitudes toward life. We don't really examine the cost of busyness, and we may even feel there is no hope for change. So Juliet Funt is the creator of WhiteSpace, and she's found through her research that businesses are losing $1 million in productivity per 50 employees in an organization. She states that we're in this age of overload, and she found that productivity is suffering because the leaders of organizations find that minds can't generate breakthrough ideas. Also, the workers suffer because busy work is a waste of time and money. So where have the boundaries gone? Where is the work-life balance? We seem to have no room for quiet in our lives anymore, and this is detrimental to our health and productivity. We think that if we answer another email, create another agenda, write another report, or answer another request, we'll get ahead. But the truth is, the demands keep coming, and it's overwhelming. The tyranny of the urgent threatens our quality of life, making it feel like 100% exertion and 0% rewarding thoughtfulness. Does all this sound a little overwhelming and depressing? If so, don't worry. There is a solution to this pressure of busyness, and it can actually be quite simple. The idea we're going to talk about is called WhiteSpace. What do you think of when you hear the term WhiteSpace? WhiteSpace is like having a sip of water. It's taking a moment to yourself to just be. White space is the space between the busyness. It helps us to shift away from the cultural belief of keep going, don't stop. White space can be defined as a freedom experience where your mind can think what it wants. White space helps you to think the unthunk thought. This headspace is recuperative. It's constructive time spent with no rules, which in turn encourages activity. Whitespace is not to be confused with meditation, mind wandering, or mindfulness. All of these take practice to master the skill. When was the last time you came across someone in your organization sitting in their chair lost in thought? It used to be that if you found someone with their hands behind their head, feet propped up on the desk, looking out the window, you left them alone to think. This doesn't happen anymore. If you did find someone just thinking, what would you do? It would probably feel a little weird, right? Like we caught them doing something they shouldn't. Don't we always want to look busy? So ponder for a moment. Have you ever gotten away from the grind and found you had an amazing idea come to you? Have you ever gone on vacation and felt so incredibly refreshed and motivated when you came back to work that you got so much done? Or have you ever had an aha moment in nature? Instead of thinking that you need to vacation more, which maybe you do, consider that white space is like many vacations throughout the day. Remember that life isn't just made up of the 5 days a year that we're on vacation. No, it's made up of the thousands of days in between doing regular life. Could strategic pauses help you to enjoy every day more? Our brains are smart, and they know when enough is enough. Science shows that fatigued brains look exactly like sleeping brains. There's a limited amount of time that the brain can stay focused without fatiguing or spacing out. Our right side of the brain, which is our creative side, is easily drowned out by our left side, your logical side. Evidence shows that brains and bodies don't respond well to the nonstop approach. Like iPads, and cell phones, our minds need recharging. So you recharge your smartphone, probably every day. How often do you take the time to recharge yourself? So now let's talk about creating white space and how we can carve out time for white space. We can carve out time for white space by catching the thieves of productivity. These are the 4 main drivers that fuel overload. Drive becomes overdrive. Excellence becomes perfectionism. Information becomes information overload. And activity becomes frenzy. Let's identify your thieves. Take a look at your handout and circle the thieves that apply most to you. The productivity thief are you mostly associated with? There is hope, of course, and you and your coworkers or friends can help each other. Share with some coworkers or friends what your thief is and ask them to point it out when they notice it in you. For example, the perfectionist can ask a friend to remind them when to move on to the next thing, instead of reworking things that are fine just as they are. For the coworker who tends towards frenzy, their teammates can help them to prioritize and stick to the tasks that they committed to. Here are some questions that you could also ask yourself. If overdrive is your thief, ask yourself, what can I let go of? If perfectionism is your thief, ask yourself, where is good enough good enough? If information overload is your thief, ask yourself, what do I truly need to know? And if frenzy is your thief, ask yourself, what deserves my attention now? Become aware of your thieves of overdrive, perfectionism, information overload, and frenzy, and intentionally create white space. The ways an environment changes with white space are really beautiful. You create an employee experience by fostering an environment where employees actually want to show up, not where they need to show up. You allow yourself to react to changes or obstacles by thinking before acting. You are setting a pace and cadence to avoid burnout and creative decline. You control your relationship with technology so it doesn't add a barrier to your high-value action. And you may find that you are able to constantly share feedback to streamline processes. Here's how to add WhiteSpace to your workday. Pause strategy number 1, daybreak. It's tempting to roll out of bed and grab your phone or immediately head to the computer to see what you missed. But those first several minutes of the day are crucial to recenter yourself, reaffirm your goals for the day, and start the day off with a positive push. When you jump too quickly into whatever is waiting in your inbox, you're in reactive mode. Take the first several minutes after waking up to acclimate to your day, to remind yourself that you are not at the mercy of everyone else's agenda. An action task for that: try 30 to 60 minutes of no technology when you wake up. Instead, try stretching, taking a walk, writing in a journal your ideas or tasks for the day, or enjoying your morning beverage. Pause strategy number 2, thinking about between meetings. Some teams love to stack meeting after meeting throughout the day. The net result is that each successive meeting gets less effective as energy wanes. Aim to have at least a 10-minute buffer between meetings to re-energize, refocus, and get your body moving. And this goes for phone calls too. Here's an action task for this one. Hack your meeting length and schedule a buffer. Most standard meetings are 60 minutes in length. Instead, make them 50 minutes. When scheduling meetings, have a 15 to 30-minute buffer so that you can take a bathroom break, have a refreshing drink or something to eat, stretch, or take a few moments of silence with your eyes closed. These small time windows will make a huge difference. And pause strategy number 3, end-of-day buffers. The stereotypical transition from work to home is to make a few phone calls while driving, walk into the house while still carrying on a conversation, and then make a quick transition to dinner with family. Practice building a buffer between work and home life. So try this action task. On especially stressful days, this might mean stopping off at the bookstore for 10 minutes on the way home to browse around. Sometimes it simply means riding in silence in the car to collect your thoughts and relax. The main principle here is to interject a pause between significant shifts of focus so that there's no residual effects from one to the other. This will give your home life the proper focus and energy it deserves. Changing your email habits can also help you create some white space. Make emails less of a conversation. When we respond immediately to emails, we make it seem like we are constantly watching our email and everyone expects us to respond immediately. Have you ever felt like you have that expectation? This email system helps people who you communicate with regularly know when you expect them to respond. You put this at the end of your email subject line. NYR means need your response, but no time deadline. NYRT means I need your response today. NYRQ means I need your response quickly. And NYRNBD means need your response next business day. Another thing that can help create white space is to limit interruptions. How many interruptions do you have during the workday? Did you know that it can take us 27% longer to complete a task after an interruption, while we experience twice the number of errors and twice the anxiety? Rather than poking our head into closed doors or sending a text before thinking or emailing like we're having a conversation, start to carve little white spaces into your modes of communication. Most of us play a role in creating interruptions as well as being the recipient of them. So what can we do? Number 1, create a yellow list. This is a simple list on your phone or laptop of non-time sensitive discussion items to have with individuals that you connect with frequently. You could create one list per person or a master list of everyone and the points of discussion. If the conversation can wait until your next meeting, place it on the yellow list. Number 2, decipher between emotionally time-sensitive communication versus tactically time-sensitive. Often we have little impulse control with communication. Consider whether what you want to communicate is emotionally time-sensitive, so something like, I feel like telling you this right now, versus tactically time-sensitive, so this information is important to what we're working on right now. Number 3, manage your email notifications. For example, you could speak up to the coworker who carbon copies everyone. And 4, limit times in your day to check and respond to email. Maybe you could set a chunk of time aside in the beginning, middle, and end of your day to check emails, rather than constantly checking throughout the day. It's also so important to create white space at home. For some of us, when we get home, we run even harder than at work because of our busy schedules. So first, set a goal around what's important in your home life. What is truly important? What do you hope to get from your home life? Set a goal around this. For example, if you have younger kids, a goal for you may be more quality time with your kids. Instead of retreating to your own corners of the house with screens, you can plan a weekly game night or activities at a local fun spot. Put together a list of activities that your kids want to do with you. Now is the time to enjoy them at this stage. If they're older, ask them for even more input. Even if they're grown and you seek more time with them, ask them what they would like to do with you this year. Number 2, schedule fun or leisure things for you, as you would a meeting at work, and make it a priority. Don't allow work to take precedence over it. You could also cut back on time wasters. Do you cruise the internet on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter with no real agenda and suddenly realize that 30 minutes or more have gone by? Do you find that you're at the park with your phone in your hand? Leave the phone at home and don't let it create a distraction from your primary focus. If you must be on social media, set a timer and do something productive when you're done with the time. Assess how technology at home interrupts time with friends and family, and plan accordingly. And finally, cut down on work time at home. Work at increasing your email response time so your team members don't expect ping-pong emails. Or even better, set a clear boundary and don't look at work emails while at home. We often find ourselves in the trap of reactive busyness without stopping to pause and explore what we really want in life. Go back to the handout and ask yourself a few of the questions that apply to you. Pause the video so that you can take a few minutes to ponder on your answers to these questions, how they can help point you towards the thieves of productivity in life, and help you prioritize what you really want in life. How will you move forward, bringing moments of quiet and white space into your day? How will these moments help you to better appreciate and thrive in this season of your life? As we wrap up this presentation, I encourage you to take a few minutes to decide on an action item that you will commit to. What can you do this week to put into action the things you learned today? Choose one of these action items or think of one of your own. Thank you for joining us today. Enjoy the moments of white space that you find in your days moving forward.